Yesterday, Dana White announced that Saturday, June 14th, Joaquin Buckley will take on Kamaru Usman in Atlanta, Georgia, at the State Farm Arena in Atlanta, Georgia. Sorry, and I think that I think my pick is going to be pretty clear, as you'll see in this video. I'm going to explain why I think Joaquin Buckley is going to win this. Um, Now, Rose Namajunas and Miranda Maverick was also announced, but I don't care. We're not going to talk about that. That's the co-main event. Who cares? Anyway, I had a tweet where I said that Kamaru Usman is never going to become champion again, and I still think that. Even as great as he was, I still think he's never going to become champion again. And one of those reasons is because and still the inactivity. Kamaru Usman has been very inactive. This up here is Joaquin Buckley's win streak and his activity since September 2022, since his last two losses to Amavov and Chris Curtis. The Amavov loss by unanimous decision has aged very well. The Chris Curtis KO loss, not really. But he took that fight, it took it obviously not very many months, pretty soon after his loss to Amavov, and he's moved weight division since, and since moving weight classes, he has been solid as fuck. I mean, the Vicente Luque fight kind of suspicious, a little bit weird at the end. But other aside from that, Andre Fiallo, great win. A great win against Stephen Thompson and Colby Covington, even though they're a little bit washed. But still great wins nonetheless, dominated them. And a very impressive win against this dude whose name I can't really pronounce, Ruzbinov. That was a good win. That guy looked giant compared to Joaquin Buckley, and he was, an unranked contender trying to fight his way into the rankings. So these are all the reasons why I think why Joaquin Buckley is going to win. He has the larger frame advantage at welterweight. So for many years, Usman benefited by being, having a very large frame during his title reign in welterweight compared to many of his opponents. He's not going to have that advantage over Joaquin Buckley. I think Joaquin Buckley is actually, in fact, bigger than him. And mix that in with the fact that Usman has been very inactive compared to what we just saw Joaquin Buckley's activity and win streak. That's going to be a problem. Also, the fact that Joaquin is the younger fighter. And because of the, they both have finishing ability. But since Joaquin is the younger fighter, his KO power and his explosiveness is going to be very dangerous. And Joaquin Buckley is is the most explosive welterweight. I think one of the most explosives. So Marty Usman's knees are another issue. For years now, Marty Usman has been complaining about his knees. How is that going to affect him in this fight? I don't think that's going to be good. And when I rewatched the Khamzat fight, it's very, obviously everyone knows Khamzat's gas tank is shit. That's how Usman got back into that fight, is because Khamzat gassed himself out within the first two rounds. That's how Usman dominated that third round. But that's not gonna be a factor with Joaquin Buckley, because Joaquin is much better at conserving his energy and has a much better gas tank than Khamzat. And you mix that in with Joaquin's explosiveness and the fact that he can mix things up with the wrestling, the striking, that's going to be such a problem for Usman, especially with Usman's old knees and the inactivity and everything else we've just factored into. Now, I also want to talk about Buckley's weird-ass behavior yesterday. This was yesterday at the weigh-ins for today's fight card with Carlos Pratas and Ian Garry. This was Ian Garry and his family at the weigh-in after Ian Garry weighed in. And this was Joaquin Buckley pulling up on Ian Garry's family, kind of not doing anything threatening, but, trying to play like a psychological mind game with Ian just by showing that. It's like, dude, this is the same day it was announced that you're fighting Kamaru Usman. You need to focus on Usman. Why are you playing these games with Ian Garry of all people? This is fucking stupid. All right, focus on Usman, please. Ian Garry is probably going to get knocked out by Carlos Pratas tonight. All right, you're probably going to beat Usman if you focus on him and take him seriously. You can beat him. And if Ian Garry, who's most likely going to lose to Carlos, in my opinion, I think you don't even have to worry about him right now. He's nowhere in your sight. Focus on Usman, and then you're probably going to fight the winner of Bilal and JDM. Anyway, tell me who you guys think is going to win. I think it's pretty clear winner for Joaquin Buckley, but tell me what you guys think. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe.